Oh boy, so what's good guys, it's True Kingston, and I just finished Visions of Mana about 2 or 3 days ago, and I want to go over the pros and cons of this game. So let's just start with the cons first, and we're going to go over the pros afterwards. The first con I have to say is the cutscenes being in 30 FPS messed with me. The only reason I say it, I usually don't mind 30 FPS cutscenes, or gameplay for that matter, if it's locked. There was one time where it dropped, but I can let that slide. What I can't understand is, this game doesn't look amazing. Like, honestly, the graphics are relatively low and bad compared to most games nowadays. I'm not mad at that part too much, the FPS for the cutscenes and the graphics as a whole. I just don't understand how the graphics are like that, and I'm playing on the PS5, so I don't know what it was like on PC. But on PS5, and it's running like that, I'm like, oh no. I don't know if it has anything to do with the studio being under that pressure and pretty much getting ready to be shut down and all of that, but that does kind of suck. But I digress. The combat on top of that is it's very lame early on. Don't get me wrong, a decent amount of games are like that at the beginning, especially RPGs, but this is literally brain dead early on. You're pretty much just mashing circle. Not circle. You're literally just kind of mashing squares most of the time. You might try the heavy attack sometimes. That was kind of it. Especially when you're just Val and Karina. Until you get Morley. But other than that, I can let it slide. Once you start getting the elemental vessels into it, you're still not doing much. Until you get far enough into the tree where you can start unlocking launcher attacks and all of that. And then you get certain vessels that give you extra effects, like the Dark Vessel, which, if I remember correctly, is the last one or second to last one you get. It actually is the last one. Yeah, then you get the Dark Vessel so you can grapple and pull people in and all that shit, or pull yourself towards them, keep combos going and all that extra stuff. But the biggest thing I have to say that I remembered on the con side of things that really messed with me is exploration. The rewards for exploring were consistently lackluster. Like, as I was playing the game, I felt like, I could be wrong, but I felt like about 90% of the time, if I opened a chest, there was just some healing items in it. And there's not many items in this game. Like, as far as I can tell, I didn't see any items that give you, like, no temporary attack buff, defense boost, speed, or nothing like that. No, like, none of these items did anything special, really. It's like, okay, you healed your health, you cleared a status effect, or you pretty much recovered some of your mana, or MP, whatever. That's all three, that's pretty much the 3 item types in this game. And besides out of battle items. And on top of that, you couldn't interact with anything after a battle for like 5 seconds. This is a nitpick, but it did get annoying. It's like there's a lot of times in this game where there's a chest, and then there's enemies in front of the chest. So you're about to get into battle to fight these enemies. Once you beat them, you just want to hurry open your chest and keep moving. But then you just got to stand there for like 5 to 8 seconds waiting for the battle info to go away. And funny enough, the reason I said 5 to 8 seconds is it gets longer the more people you have in your party. The further you are in the game, the longer this process gets, because every person's XP bar has to pop up individually and then it sits there for a few seconds. And I'm just like, this is kind of, it's not a big deal, but it's a nitpick, and it got frustrating after a while. I caught myself audibly a few times saying like, hurry up, bruh. But one thing I don't understand either, this one I have to explain a little bit more. I had to separate this between 2 different things. There's like exploration and combat zones in the game, which are pretty much 2 different types of areas you're going to be running through. And exploration areas like towns and stuff where you can't fight, or enemies will never spawn in. Exploration zones or combat zones where enemies will spawn. And for the most part, in exploration zones, you can ride the dog things, the peacocks. Now, this is the thing about those 2 zones. For some reason, in exploration zones, you can't, like, double jump. Like, they turn off your ability to double jump. You pretty much lose all of your extra stuff. So you can't double jump, you can't attack, you can't air dodge. So when you're trying to explore those and get certain things, it just makes it harder to get them for no reason. Like, there's a chest up there. You're gonna have me struggling to get up this chest and get 2 pieces of candy? Only 100 HP healing? That shit falls off so fast. Even chocolate falls off fast, and that's 250 heals. Like, you'll be struggling hard to get BS. And then, late game out of nowhere, I started finding so much like actual stuff in chests, like armors and stuff like that. And remember, this is somebody that hasn't played side missions, so maybe they are a lot better items, but I just didn't run into them. But besides that, the English voice acting is relatively bad, I can't lie. The English voice acting was awkward to me. Like, I'm not mad too much about it, because there were some funny moments. Like, I had a friend in my stream just getting angry every time he heard Karina's voice. See, I hated Karina later, but it's for a different reason, bitch. But anyway, if you know what she did, you know what she did. But I do think, overall, that's pretty much all the cons I got. I got one other one, I guess I should say. For some reason, even in combat zones, you can swing and attack just fine until you're close to an enemy where they like notice you before they. It's like there's like exclamation mark that'll pop up where they notice you but they won't attack you yet. And until they technically are starting to attack is when you can fight back. And I'm like, why is it like this? You can't get the jump on an enemy out in the open world. You can't just swing at them. But it's like, why are you letting me swing before? Because there's no purpose to swinging damn near ever. As far as I can tell, I couldn't find a reason you would swing unless you want to reach up to somewhere higher and you have a launcher attack that goes higher than your normal jump. And then you just double jump off of it. But I digress, that was a dumbass thing. But for me, the last thing is no cool weapons really outside of the designs of the weapons. Like Palomina, for example, was like my carry, and she had a weapon called Nidhogg. It looks cool, but her weapon, like nobody, from what I saw, like I said, it might be a side quest, but there was no cool weapon effects or anything. No weapons that boosted any elemental damage or anything like that. Had its own special attack animations, anything like that. And this is gonna be a spoiler for the ending, but I would expect us to have one, like with our last fight with De La Force, I legit expected to get into a specific little battle with Val and De La Force and use the Mana Sword. But nope, Mana Sword is repaired and used for one slash, and that's that. But I'll get into that. I think the story's ending was really, really weak too. I'm not gonna lie. That ending was weak as hell to me. It could be a little bit salvaged if there is another game and they do something with that ending. Like if we go into the Mina tree and we see the spirit of Val, you know, like those alms, like Karina and all of them, that would be cool. But that's another thing, we didn't get to see Karina though. Like we see Val, I understand why we saw Val. Like, that made sense, he's a soul guard. So, and Coda was a soul guard. I don't know why we didn't see nobody else, and I don't know why we saw Hina. She was just an alm. So, it made no sense to me why we even saw her. But, I digress. I'm gonna stop right there when it comes to cons. Let's go into the pros. Alright, let's go into the pros. The first one is the combat is extremely fun and fluid once it opens up. So once you get a few vessels going, and you get all of the characters' weapons, and you get to figure out which ones you want, and what your playstyle is gonna be, the combat does get really good, and it gets really fun. Like I said, I wish you could attack enemies outside of combat, but I digress. It gets so crazy to me, especially when if you have a mage on your team, like if you have Palomina just throwing a bunch of spells out, you got Morley dashing all over the place. If you have an elemental break active, and then you got Val using like the darkness vessels, freaking elemental break specifically, then it gives me so much mad chaotic shit going on, and I love it when it gets like that, because I'm just be screaming wondering what the hell is going on anymore. But other than that, the story was unexpectedly dark and depressing. Like, I didn't expect some of the things happened. Like I said, this video is going to have spoilers, so get ready, but I did not expect for Hina to die. Like, I knew, if you know the story, everybody was going to die. Like, part of the game was legit going to the tree and dying. That was like the main point. Give your soul to the tree. But I didn't expect her to die that early on, and then the whole game being get her stone back. The next thing I'm going to say is there's drastic changes to the character playstyle, especially depending on what element they're using. Because if you don't know, the elements actually give you different weapons. There's up to 3 weapons per character, but even though they might use the same weapon as another class, they might play differently. Like if you use Fire Palomina, she's pretty much straight up just a brawler, and then you can change her from a brawler if you swap her to water. She'll be a scythe wielding mage, or if you use Wind, she's more of a supporting character, but she still has the boots, so she's still a brawling character. And I'm just like, this is an interesting way of doing things, and I love that I love the variety, because like I said, the vessel is also tied to it. It does something that you can't freely do this. Like, it'd be cool if you can have Palomina's scythe, but give her the abilities of the fire tree, and give her the water vessel, or the dark vessel if you wanted to. But from what I've seen, you cannot mix and match it, and I'm okay with that. That would just add a little more variety, which would have been crazier for, you know, post-game content, which I can't talk about because I didn't play it as of yet. And so I don't know what the post-game has to offer. I played about 30 hours this game, that's how long it took me to finish it. But that's all I'm going to say on that part. Another thing that's cool, is a small feature, is that you can change weapon appearances without losing their stats. You've seen this in some games, but I don't know why I don't see it that often anymore. But if you see a weapon that looks cool, like I said, Palomina's Nidhogg whip, it looks, or not whip, it's a flail I think. But basically, you can use that, if you want to use that, but have a weapon with better stats than Nidhogg, you can use that weapon and just have the skin on. It's literally just putting a skin on the weapon. You can do it for characters as well, but to be honest, I only was able to do it for Val because I only had his pre-order outfit. I didn't get the special edition that comes with like the old outfits for different characters, so I didn't unlock any outfits. I don't know if there's any to unlock via side quests, but I don't have any of those shits. Maybe the side quests will make the game more enjoyable when I go back and play it a second time, but as for now, I'm gonna have to still mark that against it. But on top of that, every area feels really unique and expressive in their own ways. Like the Verdi's Borough, which is where Jule's from, that place, I like the lore of it being unconnected from the rest of the world. So that's why there's like sproutlings and stuff there. They're not really humans. They've been up there for a while. Some of them actually seen the world before, the way the world is now, like the human side of things, or I guess the world below them. And then you go to Guju, and Guju is supposed to be destroyed, so you don't really get to see much of the culture there besides at the beginning, and you don't really get to see the culture. I just was like, okay, these guys wearing pots and pans and they in the mines. Got drying pans on, but we don't talk about that. But, you know, every place has its own fucking thing going on. Like I said, Tiania felt like it's a small little island that nobody really pays attention to, but they so well connected to each other, love each other, got their own culture of like this fire ceremony or whatever they were doing. Every place has their own way to summon their fairy to, or summon the fairy over. When you get to Karina's place, they have to do the wind dying, which is like a special little thing where you throw this current thing into the air and do this little dance, and this is how you will summon it. She was the best at it. I was like, every place does feel like it has its own little culture tied to it. And I like that every place has its own technically like race, it feels like, to it. Like Tiania was just kind of humans there. I forgot the name of it, but wherever Karina's from, they have only like dragons there. And then in Ilistania, where Palomina's from, so like City of Water, they have tailed there, I think that's what it's called. Tailed people or something, because they're not animal people really. There's animal people in that desert area. I don't remember the name of it though. But other than that, Nicolo is the GOAT. Palomina is a baddie. Those two are facts. Nicolo was low-key holding shit down, helping things out. He was helping out Ian during his time as ruler or king, or I guess unofficial king I should say. But other than that, the last thing I'm going to say, there's multiple outfits for every character based on the elements, which is something you'll learn early, but I just feel like that's so sick that every character has 8 outfits at a minimum, not counting any like deluxe edition outfits if there's any outfits to unlock in other ways. Not counting any of that, 8 outfits is so cool. And on top of that, the seed system is cool. So you get these ability seeds, and you can equip them to give characters skills they don't even have. So if you want to get, for example, Explode, which is a fire skill, it's like the second strongest one if I remember correctly. If you want to get Explode, it was one of the stronger ones. It's like, it causes like a constant fireball, like a sun blowing up basically. Like a small sun that explodes. But normally some characters just can't get that skill, so you can give them the ability for explosion, and then they can just use it now, as long as that seed's equipped. And if you want somebody else to do it, you can just take the seed off and give it to them, or go make another one, get one at Nicolo's shop again. And I feel like all of that shit is fire to me. I love it. But there's not really anything else to say about the game. I think the game was fun. I think it was worth my time overall. Would I recommend this to people as the first game? As somebody that didn't really play the series and someone is a noob to the Visions or the Mana series, I would not. I still would say no. I think the game was fun, like I said. I don't know if there's gonna be another one. I felt like the story was relatively weak getting near the end. Like in the last few hours, I was just getting upset. I just want the story to be over. As for the game as a whole, if I had to give it a rating, I'm going to straight up give this game like a 7 out of 10. I can't give it an 8. I wanted to give it an 8, but that story ending was really messing with me. And some of the little nitpicks about how combat is handled was in the way, but I understand why these decisions were made. There's a lot of things that decisions were made, and I don't understand why. Maybe if I understood the purpose of them more, it makes sense, besides the game telling you, you just can't do this. Like, having to summon Vuskov, I get the idea of summoning them at the shore, but I think, I could be wrong. I felt like the same thing applied to Flammy, and if it does, I don't know why they would do that. Because if Flammy's a dragon, so why can't I just call a dragon anyway? Everybody knows who the Alms are, they know what we're doing, so I don't know why they'd be surprised that we're traveling with a dragon when they should know we're traveling with a goddamn dragon. Because one of the Alms owns this dragon, basically. Or a sacred beast, I should say. But I'm going to stop right there. There's nothing else really for me to say. Let me know what y'all think. If y'all agree, disagree, any other pros and cons. I'm still a little disappointed. I don't even know if I would want to play the rest of the series, because this was a rough introduction a little bit. But Trials of Mana, I was having some fun with, but I picked the wrong fucking character. Kevin learned shit. And I only got to like chapter 3. But that's it for me. True Kingsden, and I'm out.